Welcome back, RC Tankers. Let's dive straight into this unboxing of Heng Long's 1/16 scale M41A3 Walker Bulldog. I love how this tank looks. This arrives RTR or ready to run directly out of the box. As we see, fully painted, we can extricate it out of its foam enclosure there to get our first look at the Walker Bulldog. Now, as an RTR, everything is included in the box except for 6 AA batteries, which we'll go ahead and add into the controller. And as prescribed in our Hobby Squawk forum link in the description below, we first want to conduct our 2-minute test drive, where we verify that all the functions on this tank are working before we dive into applying those cosmetic accessory parts that we see in the bags there. So let's test our forward and our back. So we're satisfied that the tank is running as it should. Let's skip ahead to applying these cosmetic accessory parts. Much like any plastic model, we're going to be clipping these parts out. Very highly detailed, sharply molded, and fully painted. I do recommend using a clipper that's intended for this purpose. Don't use scissors, or definitely don't try and twist the parts off. You will mar the finish. But clipping them off like this minimizes the amount of cleanup, and for the most part, these parts simply push directly in. They're snap fit. If we did need to glue them on, I recommend using ABS glue. Now, for the modelers out there, this process can never be too long. I like to take my time with it. In this case, this model took, I believe, about 45 minutes or so. If there were more parts to apply, I wouldn't complain, but Heng Long has tried to strike a good balance between the introductory tanker who just wants to get out and drive, and those of us out there who actually like to apply these details, and the more the better. As you can tell, I worked very quickly. Moving like a rocket ship. Now, I do like how Heng Long provides very clear diagrams to locate each of these parts. The sprues, like any plastic model, as I mentioned before, are alphanumeric. So you have sprues A through, I believe, H, and on each given sprue there's A1, A2, A3, A4, etc. So just follow the guide step by step, and in no time you should have your model looking like this. We've got all of our parts applied. Pioneering tool set. Now, something to be mindful of is on this side, the way Heng Long modeled this, and I like what they did here, is this is actually a 5-part assembly where you have the lower rack, the axe, the pickaxe head, and those other parts layer on top of each other. So it's a nice effect where this isn't molded in one single piece. These jerry cans there, this may be an area where, if you plan on running the tank in heavy brush, these would be areas, and especially the machine gun up top, these are going to be things that you may want to not glue so that they're easier to remove during transport. You can always reattach them before you go out for your sortie, but the machine gun is definitely something that I do not glue. We want to retain the ability to swivel it and remove it at our will. Now, the all-new TK6 series MFCB gives us very smooth proportional inputs, as we see here. Just moving the tank in all directions, slow and fast. We can move on to the decal set. These are vinyl adhesive decals, peel and stick essentially. You're going to want to go slow with these as you remove the clear carrier film up top. Then I like to burnish it with the back of a fingernail just to help promote adhesion there onto the surface. It's a neat looking tank. Let's go outside. Let's have some fun with the Walker Bulldog. was fun. So we're back in the studio now with the Heng Long Walker Bulldog. This 1/16 scale RC tank, I think, has a lot going for it. I think I can summarize the advantages and disadvantages of this specific tank in 2 statements, and those 2 statements I think would also help identify those for whom this tank is intended and those for whom it is not. So the first statement is a positive, which is that the Bulldog, as we see here, is probably one of the best beginner-friendly, out-of-the-box, set it and forget it tanks from Heng Long. It really is. The second statement is going to be the negative, which is that this tank is not for someone who is very keen on the highest degree of scale accuracy. So let's unpack those 2 statements. Why do I think the Bulldog is such a good out-of-the-box runner? Well, there are a few elements in the tank's design that make it ideal for beginners. First of all, really good ground clearance, one of the highest ground clearance on any tank from Heng Long. We're not concerned about driving over any obstacles and bottoming out. Second, a good width overall, gives us good lateral stability. We're never really worried about tipping the tank over. And third, we've got a good track width, which is going to reduce the ground pressure and just overall lower strain on the system. Moving to the side, we see our running gear. I think a very important element for a beginner getting into the RC tank hobby is maintenance and cleaning. And the Walker Bulldog is easy to maintain. We have easy access to the bolts to service those road wheels if ever needed. If as needed we need to remove debris from the springs, we can see them. Very easy to visually identify and physically maintain. So those are the reasons why I think the Bulldog is so popular among the RC tanking crowd, not just for beginners, but people wanting sort of an easy to maintain, easy to run, very sort of hassle-free experience. The Walker Bulldog from Heng Long shines in all of those aspects. In fact, I'd put it up against the Challenger 2 and T72, which is saying a lot because those are only 1 and 3 years old respectively, while the Bulldog is more than 10 years old at this point. Now, I do think that any conversation around Heng Long's Bulldog would be disingenuous if we failed to mention the scale inaccuracies about it. And that's really the one I think negative about this tank. It's something worth considering. If you're after absolute scale accuracy, there are certainly many more better options to consider from Heng Long, and they've got a lot of them. So I'd recommend looking at the Challenger 2, the Leopard 2A6, the T90 to a certain extent, and many of those other tanks that Heng Long has really been able to pour more scale fidelity into. Now that being said, for any intrepid modeler, it has been well documented on the internet how to modify, do a bit of hull surgery, adjusting the sponsons, and those types of things to bring Heng Long's Walker Bulldog more in line with actual real scale. As a subject matter, as a platform, I think that the M41 deserves the recognition. To honor General Walker and his untimely passing, I think its service record and the variety of variants for this tank, I think it deserves a recognition. And to me personally, I believe that the minor inaccuracies here or there could be remedied in time. But that's it for me. Let us know what you think. I think a beauty of this hobby is that there's no right or wrong answer. The hobby will meet you exactly where you are at. We'd like to do the same, so please subscribe, like, share, critique, and comment. Engage us at hobbysquawk.com as well. We're talking about the Bulldog and all of its other tank brethren. And until next time, thanks for watching.